Of course, it's Thursday and time for tech. We've got expert Bukola Akingbade. Now we're going to talk about STEAM education. Now, when I came across this, I mentioned STEM. I thought that maybe it's a typo somewhere, but it's actually STEAM, and she would let us know why it is. Now, the STEM has grown to a STEAM. It's great to have you, Bukola. You're welcome.
Hi, thank you. Good morning.
All right. So we know STEM, of course, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But you actually are talking about STEAM here.
Exactly.
All right. What is that STEAM? What does the A stand for? And how? What did it happen? How did it get into the equation?
So as human beings, you do know that we are, as we experience things in our daily lives, there's the way we experience them, and there's the seamlessness of it all, and how that we interact with them, and that is as important as the technology or the science behind it, so to speak, because usability becomes a huge thing. Now, yes, it did start off as STEM, but over the last few years, it's now STEAM, which is broader. And the reason for that is if you kind of look generally at how the different revolutions have come from the first to the fourth, which we're in now.
Exactly.
You kind of see that if the top companies now this year, like Apple, like Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, those kinds of companies, versus like in 2003, maybe 20 years ago, where you had the biggest company then must have been something like Walmart or GM or oil companies and stuff like that. So you can see that the face of the world in terms of business and big business has changed. So tech is really driving that, and automation, and you see a lot of usability in terms of how we as users and humans interact with those kinds of things. So obviously when you talk about STEAM and STEAM education, is trying to get our young people and children kind of ready for that future of work. And it's a way of learning that is a lot more intuitive than when I don't know how old you are, but when I was in school and how I was taught in school and my curriculum and the linear nature of education.
Exactly. The linear nature. It's now changing a whole lot. How do we inculcate this in our kids? Where do we start from? Somebody who doesn't know about it, because you have some parents who might not be, compliant in that kind of way when it comes to technology. But they want to offer their children these opportunities. How do they start? Where do they start?
So I think that's a good question. There's so many good resources out there, to be honest. I think there's a lot that has been done in recent times online. If you search for robotics, or if you grew up playing Lego, as an example, Lego is an extremely really good example of how to kind of get into STEAM education with your kids, because you learn everything from the engineering aspect and how you you create and you kind of figure out how things work, you collaborate along that process. Also, you have events and things like STEAM Fun Fest that happen where kids come, and there's a whole lot of science labs and STEAM labs happening. And I'm sure some schools also now have started incorporating things in co-curricular, as an example, like coding or robotics or AI. And I'm sure there's nobody on the planet now that probably hasn't heard about ChatGPT. And all that is
to get to that. With the emergence of artificial intelligence, there's not so much of a need to know coding or to know processes as they were before. So people are talking about engineering prompting or prompting AI, or learning is now a skill. With the emergence of artificial intelligence, where do we go from here? Is coding needed as much? Do people need to learn the back end as much as they used to back then?
So yes, and so even in the acronym of STEAM, it's much broader. There's science, there's technology, there's engineering, there's art, and there's math. And even with AI, you have generative AI and the learning that is required to build what I suppose what you refer to as the promptings that then become what you see on the front end. So for regular people or everyday users, right, we have that more powerful technology now with AI, but the back end of that is still being done largely by people who are building languages.
Okay, so if a particular generation has built a back end, and then this back end, as it is artificial intelligence, which should learn, it's progressively learning.
Yes.
That means that for the next generation, that artificial intelligence is now going to build the back end for the next generation. Isn't that the reasoning here?
Yeah, to be honest, I love the logic. I love the logic. I think a lot of people argue that the more repetitive tasks are going to be a lot more automated. Yes,
Yeah.
and you are right. There's going to be more learning and regeneration by the AI. But I do still think that there are elements of not just even regulation, but that like we didn't even know this world, so to speak, would exist when like the first. I keep referring to the fact that the first iPhone, for instance, was made 14 years ago, which seems ridiculous, right? In terms of how that world has completely transformed our lives, right? That before we can do anything, we're checking, yeah? And this will do the same for us. We probably do not know what the next one will be. A lot of people talk about the metaverse as an example and which
has been deemed to be a failure in some ways.
Yeah, no, but you have to look at it differently. I'm a big fan of the metaverse. I think if you look at the digital world, there was a boom and a bust.
Definitely.
In the 2000s. But look at what the internet became.
The bust can provide seeds for the next
Exactly,
boom.
for the next boom, exactly. So the metaverse, for instance, if I pick a simple platform like Roblox, if you know Roblox, you probably do. Yeah. Roblox is a metaverse platform, and it's an extremely successful platform. Okay. Same with Fortnite now, actually, as well. So it's just the way it was, like the boom and the bust of the digital age in the internet. It's the same thing. People go, "Oh, is this the next thing?" And then you know, there's that. But there is some nugget in there, and I do think that would also come through in the future.
It's been a wonderful pleasure talking with you, and I hope to have much more discussions with you on the show in ensuing weeks and months. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Okay. All right. Let's head over.